The Honorable Assemblyman Stephen Katz.
Hi, Nick. Good
Welcome
to see you.
to the Seniors Forums.
Thank you very much, sir.
You are the Assemblyman representing the 94th Assembly District. Am I correct?
I'm right. I am representing the 99th District, soon to become officially the 94th District with redistricting.
Right. This your first time you served?
This is my first term.
You won your first term in office. Now, there's story in the papers regarding your visit at fundraisers at the Palladian facility in Carmel. Can you speak about that and tell us about that?
Certainly, it was a fundraiser that I did at the Paladin Center, which is a center which trains first responders for some of the worst imaginable catastrophes that can befall our society. It is privately run. It is a private business. I was there to show that, number one, we have a thriving new business in Putnam County. It's called the Paladin Center. It is being funded privately. It is a private enterprise. It is started from the ground up by some very dedicated people who are there to help our state, to help our nation, and to do it in a way that is not going to cost taxpayer dollars one penny. That is why we did it there, to highlight the success of a business here in New York, no less, the toughest place in the state, in the country, to start a business. The Paladin Center is one of those places that we can hallmark as a success right now.
How do you feel about guns?
I am a believer and a protector in our Second Amendment rights that were given from our founding fathers to make sure that there was some sort of checkpoint to interference and running amok by the government. And so I believe in our Second Amendment rights, and I have been a strong supporter and defender of them. Generally speaking, the bad guys are the people who don't register their guns. It's only the legal, law-abiding citizens who do these things. And I don't feel that we, law-abiding citizens, should be punished for trying to stay within the letter of the law.
Do you own a gun presently?
Yes, I do.
You do. You do. And you know, we do have, New York does have the strictest gun laws in the country.
That's right.
And from what I'm hearing.
And there's no correlation to the amount of violent crime. This is known nationally. There's no correlation to the amount of violent crime with the strictness of the gun control laws in this country. There is no correlation to that.
At the same token, how do we prevent things like, you know, we pick up the paper and we hear these mass shootings?
Well, here's what I would tell you, Nick.
How do we resolve
things
that
like
problem?
that obviously make the front page news. The reason they make the front page news is for two reasons. Number one, they're spectacular, and number two, they're rare. It's no different than when you hear about the plane that crashes, okay? How many planes take off and land every day versus how many crash? How many people use their guns every day at the ranges to shoot skeet, to hunt, and don't kill anybody? Okay? It's that correlation, and I think it's the press that have, the liberal press, that has made this out to be some sort of horrible issue that is now impacting legal, law-abiding citizens and their right to own guns.
Do you own a handgun or a rifle?
We do not own a handgun yet. We have an application into Westchester. If I lived in Putnam, I already would have a gun. We do have we have two rifles, okay? Going to a legal shooting gallery and taking your firearm and shooting it, okay? That is done legally. That is done at a place that is a private enterprise for you to go pay and do this. No one gets killed, but you are indeed getting to fire your weapon in a legal manner.
how do you, we don't know what could happen. That gun could be lost, it could be stolen and used in a serious crime.
I think that the overwhelming, I'm talking about 99.99% of the people who register their guns, who have applied for the proper bona fides in order to carry it and own it, are law-abiding citizens, taxpayers, responsible members of this community who should in no way feel threatened by the government to take away those rights. Has been that case forever, Nick. This is nothing new. This is something that is, as long as there have been firearms, there have been people who are legally using them and keeping them, and the bad guys.
Now, let's talk about the pay raise that you speak about,
Yes.
that you're against.
Yes, I am.
The thing you say that you're against a pay raise,
Yes.
but will you accept if it passes?
No, I won't. I not only won't, but I'm doing everything possible to head this travesty off at the pass by shining the light on the fact that we have no business getting a pay raise because we are at this point bilking the taxpayers out of far too much money for what we do is absolutely essential. Once they call that special session after the election, naturally, we will get that pay raise. And I'm going to do everything possible to prevent that. As a businessman, I can tell you that there is no need for us legislators to be up in Albany for 66 days out of the year, bled over 6 months. There are, for 5 out of those 6 months, Nick, we spend maybe an hour and a half a day in the legislature working on bills and voting on bills. It is a travesty. Each day that we're there, we are paid a per diem of $165 to go along with our $79,500 base pay. We could get this work wrapped up. I am a businessman. I know. I see it. We could get this work wrapped up in 30 days a year, and that's all you need. And I'll tell you something. If you went crazy, okay, if you gave the legislators a per diem, only a per diem, okay, not a salary, a per diem of $1,000 a day, no health insurance and no pension, they would get $30,000 a year, which is a whole lot less than $79,500 plus your $165 a day per diem.
Do you believe in term limits?
100%. I believe that 8 years should be the term limit for every elected official in this country. If it's good enough for the President of the United States, it should be good enough for every other elected official in this country. And one of the main stools that you have, that you need for having integrity and honesty in the government is term limits. Because that way you will not have fiefdoms, lifetime fiefdoms developed by corrupt politicians who care about nothing but their own self-promotion and career in the government. That is not what I want to see. That's not what the Founding Fathers had expected, and that is not what is doing any good for our country right now. For any legislator, there is a learning curve.
Right.
Okay, and I think that the first term is your learning curve. So you've got a learning curve of 1 term. That leaves you 6 years to get done what you need to get done now that you know how the system works. If you cannot get what you need done in 6 years, it's time for someone else to try.
But do you think you can get anything done as long as you remain in a minority party in that house?
For me to shine the light on these things, to educate my district, to try to make a difference where I can, to take on business issues and constituent issues on a one-by-one, case-by-case basis and do what I can in my position as the Assemblyman, that's what I do. I put bills in to make a statement right now, But even that is something that I would like to see no longer be done. I believe that any bill that is put before the Assembly must have a companion bill in the Senate so that it has a chance to actually become the law.
So you will continue fighting for the term limits?
I will continue fighting for term limits. I will continue fighting for initiative and referendum. I will continue fighting to make New York State a much more business-friendly environment. I will fight to create as many jobs as I possibly can within the context of me being a minority assemblyman and the realities of that position.
We're running out of time. Is there anything you want to tell the folks?
I am a veterinarian by trade. I am not a career politician. I am doing this as part of my civic duty. I was too young for Vietnam. I was too old for Kuwait. This is God and my country and my state have been very good to me and my family. I have hired a veterinarian to take my place in my hospital. It's not like I'm making any kind of big money doing this in the Assembly. I am doing this as a labor of love for no other reason than to try to help my state through dire times as someone who is a non-career driven, re-election driven politician. That is not me. I am not going to get into the mud with anybody. I am here to do nothing but the work that the people elected me to do, and nothing else. And because I am an adult and a businessman of 30 years, I am tasked to work with everyone else who's been elected. Whether I like them or not makes no difference. This is my job, this is my responsibility, and this is what I will carry out until I am finished.
Thank you again, Assemblyman Katz.
Thank you very much.
For coming on the show, and I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. See you all next week. Thank you and good night.